Hello, and welcome to today's webinar on the log management add-on with WhatsUp Gold. We'll share how to visualize and control your logs from WhatsUp Gold, followed by a live Q&A session. Today, we are joined by our speakers, Larry and Mark. Larry Goldman is the Senior Manager of Product Marketing for the Progress Application Experience portfolio, which includes WhatsUp Gold and Flowmon. He's an accomplished marketing leader with 20 plus years in enterprise software, SaaS services, and technical B2B marketing for global organizations. Mark is a senior sales engineer at Progress. His area of expertise is the WhatsUp Gold network monitoring solution. I'll now turn it over to Larry to start the presentation. Larry?
Thanks, Rachel. And thanks, Mark. Great to have you here with me yet again for another one of these.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So hello, everyone. Just a quick overview. I'm going to talk about the basics of log management and our add-on, and then we'll open it up to your questions, and that'll be where Mark will jump in. Although, Mark, I encourage you to jump in on anything that you think would be added value as we go through these first few overview slides. I wanted to start by noting that WUG has several impressive and useful add-ons. We're focused on the log management today, but please visit whatsupgold.com for full details on any of these other solutions. I'm guessing that you're here for one of several reasons. Number one, you don't use WUG, but you want to know more about it. And this is one aspect that you're researching. Two, you do use WhatsUp Gold, but either you don't own or you haven't yet deployed the log management add-on. So it's sort of sitting there and you want to use it. Or three, you've got something particular you'd like to know about the tool because you've started using it or you're actively using it. And remember, this is an Ask Me Anything webinar. That's why Mark's here. That's why we're here. So our hope is that by the end of this webcast, you'll get to ask those questions that are on your mind and will leave satisfied with an answer. So I'm not a network administrator or sysadmin, but I can recognize a really bad day in your life when things happen like maybe someone's made unauthorized changes to your AD policies or your ACLs, and that maybe involves some intellectual property that's there or some sensitive data. Maybe someone's gained unauthorized access to do data that's regulated by compliances like HIPAA. Maybe you're getting some indications that someone internally or externally is trying to hack into your systems, or maybe someone just stopped by your desk or your compliance officer calls you up and says, hey, I need this report. And it's a heavily manual report. It takes a long time to generate. These are things that I think nobody wants to have to deal with. And fortunately, just about everything in your IT environment has some kind of log. So that's what we're going to talk about, because a really bad day doesn't have to be a really bad day with log management. Log files contain a wealth of information to reduce your organization's exposure to intruders, malware, damage, and loss and legal liabilities. The log contains detailed records of everything that's happened, including the user actions. And there's two types of logs we talk about. One is Microsoft systems generate the Windows event log files, and Unix-based servers and devices use the system log or syslog standard. So every day your servers and other network devices produce tens of thousands of log entries. In fact, I don't know if you knew this, but the average enterprise can accumulate up to 4 gigabytes of log data a day. So a lot of data there. How do you sort it out? How do you figure out some of these things are happening like we've got in the really bad day? Well, your log data needs to be stored, collected, analyzed, monitored, especially around regulatory compliance standards like Sarbanes-Oxley, HIPAA, GLB, PCI, DSS, and so forth. The challenge is that log files come from many different sources in different formats and in massive volumes. The question then is whether your organization has a proper centralized log management strategy in place to monitor and secure your network. Because you're attending this webinar, I'm assuming that's a no, or you may want to just know more about this add-on to add to a centralized strategy. So let's go forward and let's talk about the need for log management tools. One area that we want to consider is what type of log manager you want to use with WhatsUp Gold. Is it external or is it internal? And we can review both options. The first, of course, if we talk about using a log management tool outside of WhatsUp Gold, that's certainly possible. Some people do it. but there's some downsides. It's inefficient when you're using multiple tools. Everyone complains about tool sprawl, and that can be an issue. It can also be expensive. Some tools like sim tools are very complex, maybe not exactly what you need to look at your network log management data. It could also be too simple, opposite side of things. Maybe it can't go granular enough, drill down enough into the data that you need to review. It might not be well designed for the network info itself. And if it just relies on agents to collect the data, that can be hard to implement in some situations. So of course, we see the positive side by using the log management add-on for WhatsUp Gold. It's convenient and it's well integrated. There's a positive ROI. You've already invested in WhatsUp Gold, and this is additive to that. And it adds so much in terms of what you can review, what you can learn about your network. It also has a lot of great filters and ways to focus on only what you need to know. If you've got gigabytes and gigabytes of data, you need to be able to have that level of focus. It can alert you when thresholds that you set are passed. And also, it's just like WhatsUp Gold, very customizable. We'll talk about all these things, customizable dashboards and reports. There's also an archiving feature for those of you that have to deal with compliance and regulatory issues. That is incredibly important, and that's built in. That's a part of the log management tool. Here's some of the basics then. As I mentioned, it is within WhatsUp Gold interface. It's integrated tightly. We mentioned syslogs and Windows Events logs. It can ingest those from any device that you configured as a log data source. It has extensive pre and post filtering capabilities. So you can configure log searches based on specific parameters like machine name IP, log type, dates, log field values, and more. And you can save those searches. You can even export those results automatically or on demand. You can get alerts via email when log status or events trigger conditions or thresholds that you've set. Mentioned that before. And then all the things that you like about or love about WhatsUp Gold, the mapping, the dashboarding, the alerting capabilities, all of those, you can use the existing tools as it's integrated to manage your logs and to learn more from them. So a lot of great features there. There's also a lot of settings. It comes with an Elasticsearch database. And so when you set that up to store your log information, there's all different settings here. And certainly if you have questions about the setting and how granular you can get, Mark would be glad to answer those kinds of questions. But there's things like you can set preset advanced filters for severity levels. You can set the log data retention period. Do you want to retain the data for a month, for a year? There's a forever setting you can use. How do you want for your syslog? Are there specific server settings that you need to do? And also pointing out to the specific data sources of your logs. You can control all of that. Mark, anything you would add around log management settings?
Yeah, so going back to the Elasticsearch configuration, one of the things that WhatsUp Gold does during the install, it will give you the option and ask you, hey, do you wish to do log management? And the option there is to say, okay, yes, I will choose to have WhatsUp Gold installed in Elasticsearch database, or you have the option to point it at your own. So if you choose to have WhatsUp Gold install Elasticsearch, all the configurations will be done by WhatsUp Gold's install. So there'll be really nothing to do on your part other than you check that box. WhatsUp Gold will go ahead and install it. And when it's done, it's there. It's just a matter of setting up a source device to receive logs from. However, if on the other hand, you do have your own instance of Elasticsearch, and there are some recommendations as to why you would want to do that, one being that it's a secure connection. At that point, you would have had it already set up and configured. All we would need is the authentication to connect or link WhatsUp Gold to your own instance of Elasticsearch. So I just wanted to add that part there.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Those are excellent points. There are so many ways to view your logs, just like you would use WhatsUp Gold for other things. Of course, there's a dashboard to allow you to visualize the log activity. You can see a good example down there in the lower right. And these have different areas that you can configure to give you different information. If you want to know your log manager server status, you want to see how is Elasticsearch doing? What are the current settings and its conditions? Things like operational metrics and log source statistics. There are some areas where you can define top 10 for certain kinds of devices and events. And on those, you can drill down as well. So double clicking gets you right into the device and the log that you need to see. You can, there's also the log viewer has a full page report that gives you all the information you want. And you can either use a pre-built filter from our library of filters, or you can define a custom filter for that. The device cards, you could go into that area and drill down. There's even a little recent log section indicator that can give you current log status. There's the Alert Center, of course, that will allow you to get to many of these different ways to view your logs. And the global search feature can be configured to look at the log data. Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of detail that you can drill down into using the global search feature as well. Let's talk about log management archiving, because this is really the second part. I mean, if you have to comply with regulatory requirements and preserve historic data, and you don't want it to have a huge impact on your WUG performance, then the log management tool can allow you to archive log data in an easy and intuitive manner directly within the WUG interface. It enables an easier management of system parameters, storage resource constraints. It allows you to configure the retention periods that you want for this data, especially aligning it with what the regulations are requiring. It offers a configurability for filters. If you're looking at subsets of log message data, you have the control to search, restore, and or purge this archive data. And it also allows you to search within the archive data sets. So a lot of power on this. Mark, would you add anything to this?
Only that it is accessible from multiple views. So those familiar with WhatsUp Gold, if you are in the My Network view and you're looking at your devices, one of the options that you have, and it's shown here, is a device card, where you could see instantly if there are monitors that are down, the status of your performance monitors. Maybe you're tracking things like bandwidth or CPU and that sort of thing. But one of the other options is going to show you a log entry, or a log showing you how many critical events, for example, you got. So you can see it instantly by just clicking on a device and so on. So we make that jump for you very easy. It's right there in your face if you need it. So you can see when you click on it, it will open up those logs specific to that device. Or you could go into our reporting where you have this information. The other thing too is that the reporter, the log viewers, the filtering, they work very well, right? It uses Elasticsearch database for a reason, and I'm gonna go back to this. Those familiar with WhatsUp Gold knows that we use SQL in the back end. We install SQL Express by default. That is how we store all of our data, whether it's monitoring data, report data, and so on. But with Elasticsearch, with log management, we run with Elasticsearch simply because it is a better database in terms of searching for data in large chunks of data, like event or syslog data. And so if you were to do a filter to say, okay, just show me all my DCOM errors in the last 2 weeks, you will see how fast it pulls this information up. So, so the information is going to be right there. There aren't a lot of views that you need to enable or any of that. You just go into the log viewer, see your information. If you don't see your information right away, the filtering is very easy to use, where you could apply a filter. And the other thing is you could create a filter to look for something specifically, an event ID, a user, a certain content in the message, or payload, or whatever, and immediately set an alert threshold to where when such an event comes in and it matches that filter, that it can generate an alert in the Alert Center's library.
Thank you. Before we get to the questions, I just wanted to point out a few additional resources on the log management add-on that you might be interested in. They're all on the whatsupgold.com website. There's extensive product documentation. Under the resources tab, you'll find blogs, and you can do a quick search for log management. I know we have at least one ebook and video. We have a podcast. We don't do too many podcasts, but we have a great podcast on log management. There's a best practices guide, which is very informative. And that's really even around the centralized log management strategy that you can use. You can go into the online interactive demo and you can see some of the features that have been set up for the log management tool. So if you'd signed up for that, you can play around with it a little bit. Also, feel free to reach out to your account manager or reach out to anyone at the company. You can contact us through whatsupgold.com if that's easiest for you, but we can always give you a demo and a review. We're always glad to talk about these tools and help make sure that it's the right fit for what you need. Now that said, here we go.
Thanks, Larry. Let's go ahead and turn on your cameras for the live Q&A. And just a reminder to our audience to please ask your questions for Larry and Mark in the questions panel. Looks like we already have a few rolling in, so I'll pass it off to Larry to take it away.
All right. Thanks, Rachel. So, yeah, we do have a couple questions already. This is great. Um, it is Ask Me Anything. Okay, Mark, here we go. Are we ready? The couple questions about the Elasticsearch that we talked about. Does log management require a separate database to be installed?
Yes. So what you discussed earlier is that
Yeah.
we need, besides SQL Server, which is what WhatsUp used traditionally for all of its data storage. Elasticsearch is what we went with for log management. It's just a much better database for searching through large chunks of text. So yes, it will require a separate database. It does give you the option during the installation of the product to install Elasticsearch, or you can connect to your own instance of Elasticsearch.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. A couple questions on this. Bonnie asked, how does it compare with Elastic? We are working a project now that we are using Elastic.
Well, same database, right? So
It
let's say that if they're using Elastic, I mean, it is Elastic that we're using. So WhatsUp Go could easily point to that instance, and it will continue to store the log management data.
Got it. Does any other WhatsUp Gold data use Elasticsearch?
No. So at this point, just log management, network traffic analysis, config management, you name it. WhatsUp Gold, your basic monitoring, all of it use Microsoft SQL.
Okay. Okay. Here's one. Does log management do any log forwarding?
It doesn't. Log management, it's basically the server, right? So it now becomes not just a server where it can collect Windows events, but syslogs serve data. So you can configure your network devices that are sending syslog, your Unix systems, to forward it to WhatsUp Go's IP address or wherever the log management IP address is, and and so it will ingest that for you. You can archive this data. However, it doesn't come with a feature to automatically forward it on to yet another log syslog server.
Okay. I'm going to get this wrong. It's either Asia or Asia wants to know what's the maximum number of logs that it can collect,
Um,
especially syslog events.
yeah, I don't know that there's a like a hard limit set, but we're talking about thousands and thousands, because syslogs can be quite numerous depending on the device, but it is robust enough to handle in the tens of thousands. So yeah, but I don't know that there's a hard limit that we have set, but it does handle quite a bit of devices.
Yeah. How would you compare it to, I guess, so the log management suite, which we just announced is end of life, apparently wasn't suitable to collect firewall logs, which peak
Mhm.
at 1,000 events per second. That's not an issue now with log
No,
management, right? Yeah.
no, that wouldn't be
Okay.
an issue.
Excellent.
And but one other thing about that, the old log management suite, whoever asked that question, if you're familiar with it, it consists of various components. It was totally separate from WhatsUp Gold. It was its own separate collection of suites. where you have one part is going to do the archiving, one part is going to do the alerting and everything. In WhatsUp Gold, the point I was making there with the previous tool was that you have several components to it, whereas in WhatsUp Gold is just simply one area under settings, and then the other area is your log viewer, where you're going to see all your logs that are coming in and so on. You don't have to jump between multiple applications and tools to see information or configure and so on. All of it is happening within the WhatsUp Gold interface. So now that you have a network monitoring tool, one of the other features that you could apply to this network monitoring tool is the ability to archive and collect Windows events and syslogs.
All right. I'm going to ask you a series because we've got a whole bunch here. I'm sorting through them around the Elasticsearch. So here we go. And then everyone, I see so many questions here. We'll move on to another topic, but I wanted to kind of cover this now. Does the standalone ES server need to be the same version as the built-in version?
Not necessarily. So there aren't any conflicts that we know of where that would be the case. Obviously, you know, the latest and greatest is always the best. So if you have a newer version than what we would ship with, you'll be just fine.
Okay. Can we scale up the log collection with multiple collectors and several Elastic databases?
At this point, I don't know that that is an option. We would need to probably go back and see. As of right now, we're just dealing with just a single instance of Elasticsearch. Now, in terms of agents, another departure from WhatsUp Gold's traditional design in it being agentless software is that in collecting logs, especially from Windows events or Windows servers, it gives you the option to install an agent on the servers as opposed to a central collector. So by default, there is a central collector where WhatsUp Gold acts as the central collector. However, you can or it can deploy what are called agents for the sole purpose of forwarding events off to the WhatsUp Gold log management server.
Okay. There's actually Anjas actually asked, is an agent necessary for the log collection in Windows servers? What are the advantages?
Not necessary, but if you think about, let's say you do have quite a bit of devices, a good number, you know, let's say 50 servers. Instead of having the WhatsUp Gold server act as the collector to go out and interact with these 50 servers to collect logs and bring them in, they can help with the load by, you know, installing those agents to do the forwarding to WhatsUp Gold. So it basically shares the load a bit there if you have the agents installed. However, it is not necessary for it to work. You can have WhatsUp Gold use the central collector.
Okay. And you've kind of answered Abdullah's question. Abdullah had a second part, says, if there's no need to install an agent, what are the requirements that need to be made on compute nodes?
I don't have that information handy now, but if we need requirements in terms of sys requirements for WhatsUp Gold or the log management side, our release notes is going to provide all that data.
Yeah, and there's full release notes as well as an installation and
Right.
user guide there on the website. So
One thing I want to reemphasize again to anyone watching this with log management, really, if WhatsUp Gold installs it, there isn't much in terms of configurations, right? It's just, hey, install Elasticsearch, and once it's done, it's basically sitting there ready for you to start receiving log data and so on. You may never have to even touch anything related to Elasticsearch. WhatsUp Gold just has it there in the background. You'll be able to see your logs. You'll be able to get, you know, see statistics on, you know, which devices are sending logs, how many logs you're getting a day, and so on. You'll get all that because Elasticsearch is set up neatly in the back end, very quietly. No need to even interact with it.
Okay. Bonnie asked, your log management, is it on-prem or in the cloud?
It is on-prem. So wherever WhatsUp Gold is, you can have log management there.
Yeah.
So it basically rides along with WhatsUp Gold. Now it can be a remote server, but it's not a cloud-based offering necessarily, right? So, but I mean, you can run WhatsUp Gold in Azure or AWS and have log management there as well, installed with your instance of WhatsUp Gold.
Okay. Here's one. You and I were talking about this a little bit beforehand. From Rob, he says, if Elasticsearch was not installed with WUG installation, can it
Mhm.
be added post install? So this might be the case where we were
Right.
talking about where maybe you have premium and then you purchase log management afterwards. What's the process there?
Yeah, yeah. So either you purchase it afterwards, or maybe you're just interested. You say, hey, you know what? I want to evaluate log management. And so the process for it, and if you're familiar with WhatsUp Gold and its add-ons, any add-on that gets evaluated or added to your license, all it takes is what's called a license refresh. You go to your manage license option there for WhatsUp Gold, and you'll see, okay, refresh license, go through that process, and boom, that add-on is turned on. The difference between log management and the rest of these add-ons is that it requires the install of an Elasticsearch database and or you telling it to go and connect to an existing Elasticsearch database you provided with the username and password. So what that means is that if you wish to evaluate or add WhatsUp Gold's log management to your existing WhatsUp Gold instance, your account executive will turn it on for the license, but the process is that you will run the install, the same install you ran previously with WhatsUp Gold, run it again this time. You will see the option to use Elasticsearch. It's just a checkbox. And then it will ask you some more configuration question, and then it will install it for you. So in this instance, it's not just a license refresh. You will have to go back and run the install again just to get that option for the Elasticsearch install.
All right. Here's one that I can actually answer. um, Asia says, can the existing log management suite license, so again, this is the end of life tool, be converted to the new log management for free according to the same number of devices? We are talking about how to migrate people. I can't say necessarily that it's free, but I can say that we do want to talk with you about this, and we're glad to have that conversation. I would reach out to your account manager, or if you want to reach out to me or through the WhatsUp Gold contact form, just let us know because we have we have some materials on that, and we're glad to talk with you about converting over to that. So that is something we want to see as many of our customers do as possible. Let's see. Oh, and speaking of that, Shelby actually asked, didn't the old logging suite include SMMP trap logging? And is there, or should there be, any plan to migrate to that log management product? I don't.
Well, since log management is part of WhatsUp Gold in itself is a trap collector, right? So with WhatsUp Gold, you're already collecting SNMP traps if you're doing that for your network monitoring. All log management does is add to collecting syslogs and Windows events for ingesting or archiving.
Yeah, and I think the same that I'd said before is, let's have this conversation about migrating to the new product that's integrated into WhatsUp Gold. Um, Here's one from Abdullah again. What is the limitation of WhatsUp Gold log management for handling a huge number of computes nodes?
Not sure. Again, that's on the question of computes nodes. Not sure I have an actual answer on that. We would just need to go in there and we could follow up and see what our testing and so on has been if it involved computes nodes. But sorry, I don't have any concrete information on that.
Okay. A couple questions from Jesse on the archive aspect of this. Where are the archive log files stored? On a local drive or the WUG server? on the WUG server?
Yes, it's yeah. So if it's installed locally, yeah, it will be on the What's Up Go server. But it also gives you the ability to set up an archiving location where it could be a shared drive on your network
Okay.
um, to store this data.
So it can move the archived log files off the server.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay. And can this process be automated? Which I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, yes. That is the setting. That is the automated setting. Yeah.
Great. Great. All right. We are getting through the questions well here. I think we caught up. Let's see. Oh, this is interesting. Is there a plan to expand the log types other than Windows events and syslog? For example, support of SNMP trap application logs. I believe we do handle application logs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Now, obviously not all application logs. So I don't know. SNMP trap, like I said, well, What's Up Gold handles that already. If there are other types of applications we would need to, and based upon the business need, the demand, and so on, definitely we would add more. Currently, the two big log types are Windows events and syslogs. Most of our network monitoring devices, Unix devices, and so on, they rely on syslogs. So that will cover much of the target devices that What's Up Gold monitors and manages. But beyond that, it depends on what type of log it is, and again, if the demand is there and so on, I'm sure we'll be adding those as well.
Yeah. And we always take suggestions, right? We have
Right,
a
absolutely. So we
we
do
have
have
in the
our
community and yeah.
yeah, and that's how features become a reality. We get engaged with our community. People come and say, hey, you know what? It'll be nice. This is my use case. I want to do this, blah blah blah, and so on. And based upon that, things get organized and prioritized and then coded. But as of right now, it's just log and Windows events, just for log management portion.
Yeah. Here's one from Michelle. Is it possible with WUG and log management to log and have alerts anytime a new device will be connected to a switch in the monitored LAN?
So a couple of ways I will go about doing that. Let me just say the answer is yes, right? So any event that triggers a syslog, like the scenario you just described here, can trigger an alert. Now, in What's Up Gold with log management, each entry or you have the ability to create filters looking for specific content, and based upon that, you can have an alert set. So yes, it will be receiving logs. Do you want an alert, an email that, hey, you had X log came in that had this content, new device added, or something like that? And then definitely yes, you'll be getting alerts as well.
Okay. What do we got? Oh, here's a very long one. I'm not sure. Shelby, we might we might want to take that one offline. It seems very specific. A more generalized question, I think is a good one, is Henry asked, can I evaluate the log management for a period of time? We have What's Up running already, but I don't see it from the feature set. So how would someone do that?
Right. So you can either go out to whatsupgold.com and under the log management side, you'll look for log management and request an evaluation. What will happen there is the account executive for your account, they're going to get that request, or you can even contact them if you know who they are and say, hey, you know what, I'd like to evaluate log management. And so what they will do is turn on that feature for your license. You on your part will then execute or run the What's Up Gold install file again. It's a exe with your serial number in the name. Execute that again and run through it as if you're doing a repair. And then you'll get to the option for log management. You'll see it there where you'll say, hey, do you want to use log management? There's a checkbox to enable it. And that will go through the process of getting it activated for your instance.
Great. Here's one from Vance. Does WUG collect Linux node logs through the Windows server, or does it need to be installed on a Linux server?
They can do both as long as it's coming in as either syslog or Windows event. It really doesn't matter.
All right. Steven says, so log management is a separate module that needs to be purchased, or is it already on WUG? And the answer, I can answer that one. It's an add-on, so it integrates in, but it is separate.
Mhm.
If you have WhatsUp Gold Premium, it doesn't come with it, but you can purchase it separately. It also does come with the WhatsUp Gold Total Plus edition. So it's definitely in that one. Does it come in any other packages that we have? I know we have a couple other types of packages, but yeah. So
Premium and Total Plus.
yeah, yeah. So that's just that it just needs to be purchased, and you can talk with your account manager, as Mark said. You can demo it, you can look at it. Certainly, we're always glad to, like I mentioned before on that last slide of where you can get more information. We're always glad to give you a preview of it as well. If it's easier to walk through it in 15 minutes, we're glad to do that. Let's see. What other questions we have? Yeah, Shelby, your troubleshooting question, we're going to get back to you on that one. We're going to help you process that one. I think that's a longer issue than we want to talk about here, but we'll take care of you. And let's see. All right. Looks like she does have one last question though. If anyone else, this is great. We're getting so many. This is exactly why we do these Ask Me Anythings, is to get you where you want to go. Anja says, how is the licensing utilized for log management? Can you
So those
speak on
are just like
Yeah.
the NTA sources and our which other one does it? I think it's NTA and application monitoring. What it does is uses points. As you know, with WhatsUp Gold, it uses points. You could have 100-point, 500-point license. So if you have log management attached to that, what it'll do is take 10 points per source, where it's so let's say you have 5 servers you wanted to collect data from. It will take those uh, those device multiplied by 10 points per source, and that's how licensing works with log management.
Got it. All right, and so here is a question from Shelby. She is a log management user, so this is a specific question about functionality. She says, I can't seem to find single-click log filtering by device where I expect to see it. She expects that under a right-click on device under My Network or under the Analyze Device status page. Where would she, how would she get to find the single-click log filtering by device?
By device. So currently, log management is going to be found under the log viewer page, right? So I don't know if she was asking to add log management data to, let's say, the device status dashboard. I don't think that's available, not in this current version, anyways. But the place to see log views just for the logs itself is specifically under Analyze Log Management and Log Viewer.
Yeah, the log
That's where
viewer.
you see it, and within that view, you have your filters and so on. You can create out of that view additional dashboards where you could use specific filters for specific data.
And on the dashboards, if you filter in and you have the device, you just double click on it and it takes you to the device and the details.
Right. So within the My Network view, for example, you can select a device. The device card comes up on the right. One of the components there is going to be log. If there's log data associated with that device, you could click on that and it'll pop up a new window that will show you all the logs that we have for that device.
Yeah. All right. That is a lot of questions, a lot of answers. Seems like everyone's pretty happy here. Any more? All right. Great session. I think if you have more questions, we're always glad to answer them down the road. You can always write to us, reach out and contact us. For that, I'm just going to say thank you, Mark. Thanks for all the advice and expertise.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Rachel, for arranging all of this, and thank you all for attending. So have a great day.